If you haven't already, please go ahead and click on the subscribe button, and while you're at it, click on that little bell too. What's up everybody, it's me E-Man from E-Man's Movie Reviews, and today we're going to review the movie Glass. So let's start off with a quick intro. David Dunn has to use his superhuman abilities to take on the Beast and thwart the villainous plans of Elijah Price. Just as a heads up, mild spoilers ahead for Glass and Unbreakable, so spoiler alert. With that said, let's head right into the good. The good. I think one of the best highlights for Glass has to be in the main characters. James McAvoy easily takes the lead with his numerous character roles. Every time he steps on the screen, you're immediately drawn to his performance. Not to mention the fact that oftentimes his transition from one character to another resulted in some hearty laughs and chuckles. Similar to Split, anytime an actor can successfully pull off multiple personalities for a role, you can bank on that performance being a successful factor for the entire film. Next, we have Samuel L. Jackson, who played Elijah Price, and he had a pretty satisfying performance and story to go along with his character. I enjoyed the fact that his intellect was on display much more than before in the previous movies. While I do have a slight grievance with the nature of his master plan, and I'll get to that later in the bad, I love the fact that he was always in control and using everyone in the process. I thought the inclusion of Elijah's mother was a nice touch to help cultivate Elijah's character and bring it full circle. Surprisingly, Glass had a nice amount of humor in the film compared to the previous movies. What I appreciated is that the movie was aware enough to give a little fan service to the audience. M. Night Shyamalan was also able to balance those bits of humor in a way that didn't compromise the more dramatic tones in other scenes of the film. Another credit for M. Night is going to come in the usage of previous footage from Unbreakable. I thought this was a great way to help audiences refresh their memories. At the same time, if you happen to recently see Unbreakable right before watching Glass, then it would still be a welcome treat to see how specific scenes tied into the now current storyline. In regards to the overall plot, one factor that I really liked was the constant questioning of what is real or not. The beauty in this aspect of the movie is that through the questioning of the characters as to what is real, the audience in turn also is forced to answer the very same questions. We have no idea whether all this time these characters actually have superpowers, or if they truly are more rational explanations to refute the former claim. That level of engagement is exactly what keeps you intrigued up until the movie's final act. Lastly, as we've come to expect with any M. Night production, we can certainly look forward to a number of twists in the movie. As mentioned earlier, the back and forth about what's real or not was a nice twist when we discovered Elijah's master plan. It was also intriguing to see the twist with Dr. Ellie's true motives being revealed. The plus side of that twist is that it opened up a new level to the world building in this trilogy. Alright, enough of that, let's get right into the bad. The bad. One of the biggest issues with Glass is the story leads you to some nice climaxes, but the resolution simply feels unsatisfactory. While the twists are nice, they don't really end up accomplishing the right payoff. For instance, let's look at Elijah's master plan. One of his main goals from Unbreakable was to find his identity or purpose in life by seeking out his counterpart in the world. He went about that by manipulating events that triggered great tragedies and casualties. This is how he eventually is responsible for the creation of both David Dunn and for James McAvoy's characters. Through those actions, Elijah realizes that his ability is to basically be a mastermind villain because he views the world through the lens of comic books. Now this brings us to the big reveal at the end of Glass. When we find out that Elijah had planned all along that he was going to use the cameras of the facility as a way to show the world that super individuals exist, it seemed like a deviation from his original basis and plan from Unbreakable. Given what was laid out to us about his character in the movies, I thought it would have been a much more logical progression to have Elijah continue to create more superpowered individuals through even more catastrophes. It didn't make sense to try and awaken more superpowered people through simple video exposure when we're talking about the same person who committed multiple plane and train crashes to achieve his goal. In my opinion, this shows an issue with the writing of Elijah's character because his means seem to be counterproductive to his previous goal. We haven't seen in this cinematic universe that simple awareness or exposure to superpowered people with abilities would trigger others to awaken their own abilities as well. It would have made more sense had Eljiah done something like trigger an even bigger explosion and tragedy by exploding the new tall building that was going to be revealed. That would have produced probably even more superpowered people and thus fulfilled Elijah's goal of not only bringing awareness to these special people, but also for being their creator as well. In Glass, right before Elijah's passing, he said that this was actually an origin story. This again demonstrates the same inconsistency in the writing because we don't see anyone develop any type of super abilities simply by witnessing super abilities of others. Now let's address another issue of disappointment, and that comes in the form of Dr. Ellie's secret society. While the twist and the reveal of her character was certainly welcoming, the lack of development of it is where the disappointment lies. I actually like the idea of there being a secret society dedicated to suppressing these special individuals. However, I thought that the organization's presence left more to be desired, but in a bad way. That twist felt like it was just thrown in at the very last minute. There were a number of other more plausible routes they could have gone with it. Maybe the society was part of the government, or maybe the secret club was using superpowered individuals as agents to target other superpowered people. To simply just throw the secret group in at the end of the movie and leave us with the simple idea that they just want to keep things quiet felt disappointing to me. I think it left more questions on the table, but not in an ambiguous way that will really leave you thinking, a la the spinning top at the end of Inception. Lastly, the fight scenes in Glass were just terrible. For the entire duration of the movie, we keep getting hyped up for this big classic showdown between the Overseer and the Beast. Every time they tangle, however, it's one of the most lackluster fights between enhanced individuals I've ever seen on the big screen. If we're going to tap into this comic book feel of a movie, at the very least, the fights could have utilized better fight choreographers or display more feats of strength. I'm sorry, but seeing two men just stand there grabbing each other's shoulders only to get into a pushing match didn't make for the most exhilarating fight scenes in my opinion. This probably could have been helped with some better cinematography throughout the movie, but there didn't seem to be any type of unique or memorable scenes to demonstrate that. Okay, enough of that. Let's get right into the reason.
The reason.
Glass is the comic book movie that tells an interesting story, but fails to give you that slam dunk ending it leads you to believe that it'll deliver. If I can give you a quick analogy, it's kind of like if you were a little kid and your parent was like, hey, let's go to the fun park. And in your mind, you're thinking, oh, this is great. We're going to go to an amusement park. But then as you actually get there and get out the car, turns out that you were just going to the regular park down the street. So while it might not be the huge amusement park that you probably expected, it's still a park and I guess you could still have fun there, but that's where the disappointment lies. So Glass is kind of similar. You're led to believe that it's going to be something really big, and then it ends up just being a regular park. But when it comes to the criticism of disappointment, let me just say that Glass is not a terrible movie by any means, so one shouldn't conflate disappointment with the movie being trash. Now, out of the entire trilogy, I do believe that Glass ranks the lowest, while Unbreakable is probably the best of them all. I don't think that Glass is going to be the type of movie that will bring M. Night Shyamalan's current fans, and those who have sworn him off, back together again. So when it comes to the rating for Glass, I've got to give it a 7 out of 10. Now, is Glass worth watching in theaters? I would say it is, but this is the perfect movie to enjoy with lower expectations and at a matinee. Well, thank you very much for joining me. If you have seen Glass, let me know in the comments down below, what did you think about the movie? Did you enjoy it? Did it disappoint you? Do you love it? Whatever you thought, let me know in the comments down below. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. If you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it.